Hi there.
Hi there.
Welcome to today's Food Security News Update. Today we've got a bit of a historical article around food security that we thought you might find interesting. We've certainly found it interesting. It's a story of Percy Schmeiser and his fight to protect local food security.
Yeah, so actually 1998 is when agriculture probably changed forever. We'll tell this little story about Percy and Louise Schmeiser. So they were a third generation canola farmer in Canada. And what actually happened was one day in 1998, Percy was spraying some weeds on the side of his property, and there was some canola growing there, but the weed killer didn't kill the actual canola. And what had actually happened is that Monsanto were growing Roundup Ready canola a few kilometres up the road, and maybe a truck spilled some seeds on the side of the road, maybe the pollen blew in, but what actually happened was that Percy's generational canola, self-replicating, was contaminated by the Roundup Ready canola. And then what actually happened was that Monsanto actually went onto his property, took some samples of Percy's own canola that he'd been saving for generations, him and his family, and found that it actually was contaminated with their own Roundup Ready canola. So the upshot of that was that Percy was actually taken to court, the Canadian Supreme Court, charged with a breach of patents, a patent breach, which sounds really strange, but a lot of the modern GMO crops have got what they call patents on them. So they actually technically belong to the ownership of the actual corporation that puts the patent on them. And obviously this is an ethical and a moral question. I mean, how can a corporation actually patent something that God has given to humanity for our benefit? But nonetheless, Monsanto took Percy and Louise Schmeiser to court, and unfortunately the court ruled in favour of Monsanto that Percy and Louise had broken the patent on the Roundup Ready canola, even though the canola had escaped into his traditional canola.
No, it's very interesting. So some of the information relating to that court case was in 2001 the case went to the federal court, and the judge presiding ruled that, like you said, Percy's canola plants had violated Monsanto's patent rights, even though they were on Percy's property, and Percy was ordered to pay Monsanto $10,000 for licensing fees and up to $75,000 of his profits from the sales of that crop. So
unbelievable.
That sent shockwaves,
Yeah.
shockwaves through the farming communities, and it sent a shockwave. We were shocked when we read it as well.
You can't make this stuff up. Yes.
No, can't make it up. In 2000, this is when the year before the case was actually heard. At that particular time, and it's probably even more now, but there was 109.2 million acres of genetically modified crops estimated to be growing around the world. That's 44.2 million hectares in the hectare measurement. So that is a lot of genetically modified crops growing in and around traditional farm that's using self-replicating, self-pollinating type seeds. So genetically modified crops was, it was huge then, is huge now. And obviously with pollen freely travelling around, it's likely that cases like Percy's could be happening all of the time. So Percy was given those fines. He filed a countersuit against Monsanto, and the outcome of that was that the Supreme Court of Canada in 2004, so this was a long legal battle, they ruled in favour of Percy as far as not having to pay damages, penalties and those court costs and give percentage of his profits. So financially Percy was okay there. But the Supreme Court of Canada did rule in favour of Monsanto in regards to saying that Percy had still breached patent rights.
It's unbelievable, and it raises a moral and ethical issue. Who has the right to own a patent on something that God has given humanity to use? That's the first thing. The other thing was that a lot of farmers in North America and Europe were actually scared after what happened to Percy and Louise. You can imagine the rigmarole of being taken to court, of facing the prospect of losing your farm. And a lot of these farmers have been in the hands in farmers' families for generations. And all the years it took to sort of fight the battle and fight the case. So a lot of people stopped growing self-replicating crops and just chose to grow genetically modified crops. Because of that, they were just too scared to lose their farms. The other take-home message from this is that corporations are there to make money. if they can put a patent on a plant and make money off that plant, it's good for business. It means that you cannot use that particular crop for your own profit, so you have to go back to the corporations year after year. Okay, so another take-home message is how important it is for home gardeners to save their own seeds, because with more and more farmers just going down the road of corporatised farming now, using patented seeds, there's going to be less and less biodiversity in the crops that we've saved for hundreds of years. So that's a take-home message. We just need, to save our own seeds and make sure those generations of food crops are in the hands of people like you and us. All of us.
Yeah, definitely. So we thought we'd just share with you that little article because certainly it's definitely related to food security.
Absolutely.
And very interesting to note and just to see what's happening out there in the bigger picture. I suppose of food growing. Anyway, that's it for us today. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
If you'd like to support our work, there's details in the link below. In the meantime, happy gardening.
Happy gardening. Bye.